propaganda. Let me tell you.
Call of Duty?
Yeah, it is.
All right, go into it.
Well, like, okay, so I've only played the first couple things, like offline, the little campaign.
Yeah.
So apparently there's like the big bad terrorists, and Iran is like supplying the terrorists. And then you find out that not only is Iran supplying terrorists, they're like Mexican drug cartels are supplying terrorists.
They're doing a reverse Iran-Contra?
And I'm like, first, that made me laugh so hard because I was like, first of all, that I understand it's a video game and it's fiction, but like this in reality, Mexican drug cartels have stated like, hey, ISIS, remember when ISIS was a thing? They're like, hey, if you try to smuggle people through the southern border, we will murder you. They're like, we don't play. We don't play with that. And it's like, yeah, that makes sense because their thing is not ideology, it's to make money. Yeah. So why would they want, like, terrorism doesn't make money.
Yeah.
So it's like, no, they want no part of that. But anyway, you have to go like break up the drug cartel. And like, there's like they're smuggling one of the terrorists in the United States and they get him over like the southern border wall. That's like the Texas border wall. And you're a Mexican, like, federale, and they're like, well, and I guess we're going over, and they go over the wall, and they're in Texas, like going into people's houses, looking for a terrorist. Oh my god! And then there's another thing where like, okay, so they're
doing Homeland Security for us.
Oh my god, it's so wild. I'm like,
that is like some client state empire stuff too.
Dude, I'm like, that would never happen for one. And then two, like, there's another thing where you're looking for said terrorists and whatever, they're back in Mexico.
Yeah.
And you're in a C-130 and you're just like an American C-130. Oh, and the scheme like props up PMCs, private military companies.
Which
so it's like mercenaries.
Which Metal Gear Solid 4 covered like 20 years ago.
Oh, this game ain't no Metal Gear Solid 4.
No.
It ain't no,
from the opposite perspective.
Well, I know. Yeah, exactly. I say it ain't no Spec Ops: The Line either.
Yeah,
but
Spec Ops is like does the like critical thing.
Oh, you never played that? Oh, you play like the best thing I can tell you is it's Jacob's Ladder, the video game.
Okay.
You play as a ghost.
Whoa.
It's spooky. It's really good. But so you're like bombing the holy heck out of this like Mexican city in a C-130.
Yeah.
You're just dropping all kinds of like hell. And then you capture the terrorist and like get him out, and then you've got him like in the Mexican desert, and you're like, and then the guy calls in and is like, whatever, your commander's like, we don't have enough to keep him. We've got to let him go.
Oh no!
I'm like, what?
The bureaucrats took it away.
But it was fine to like fly an American C-130 and just decimate a border town.
Look, you can kill as many civilians as you want, but if you don't follow the bureaucratic procedure that's described for you, then you just have to. And that is like literally like every super cop movie.
Oh my god, it's so laughable, dude. You know, our buddies who follow us on because I tweeted about this when I first started, like, a couple weeks ago. And I tweeted about this, and our buddies from Leftist Podcast, Hell of a Way to Die, they're Army veterans.
Oh, yeah.
And he just tweeted, like, keep playing. He's
yeah.
like, if you're laughing now.
It gets better?
No, he goes, if you're laughing now, you're going to die by the end.
That's
I'm
great.
like, yes. But
maybe we need to be streaming this on Twitch.
Bro, you should. I don't know. It takes a beefy video card, but if you can get it, it's actually really good.
I mean, I got a 3060.
It's disgustingly good. And what they've done is they've just aped all the video games. Like, they're like, hey, you like Fortnite? Like, we've got third person. Hey, you like the best part of the game?
Yeah, people aren't talking about Fortnite anymore as much.
I guess. I don't know.
I guess maybe just people are on COD now.
No, I don't think that's where they're at, and I'll tell you why. I don't see. My thing is, I don't know.
Like even the kids at school are not talking about Fortnite that much. Yeah.
Well, you're in touch with the children. You're a teacher. And I tell you, as a 41-year-old man, I am on this video game with people from work, and I am like destroying these children. Yeah. And I think it's a real crisis in this country that our children just
they're not as good as killing.
We're just not as great. We're just not great at video games anymore.
Oh man!
And I feel like we need to get back to our roots. I'm a conservative as far as video games. As a 41-year-old man,
you're a Street Fighter player.
I should be getting just like laser beamed by these kids, and they just can't keep up with me.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
That's just not. It's not okay. You got too many old man tricks.
I guess so, dude.
Yeah, I guess the only thing I'm messing around with lately is I did get on Persona 5. Royal, and that I thought that game was going to be like too weeb for me, if you know what I mean. I thought it would be, and then I went, and it was more ridiculous than anything I'd ever seen in my entire life. It's like this combination of like social simulator / like going into the like subconsciousness of like evil people and like taking them down, and it's actually kind of awesome.
Little 19-year-old Robert thought that he liked JRPGs, Japanese RPGs.
This is the best JRPG
because he played Final Fantasy VII, and then I was like living in Japan, and I bought Persona 2.
Yeah.
And I was just like, what? I was like, what even is this? I couldn't finish it. I was just like, I can't.
Oh, I'm on 60 hours of of Persona 5, and I'm not even halfway through the game.
Why? So you didn't go to, and this is so trying to keep it political, you didn't go to the Chalmette pay-per-view NWA wrestling.
I missed it. I missed it because, unfortunately. So one of the reasons, by the way, we've been out. I got a little bit of surgery done on my eye. I got a little carcinoma removed from like right by my face. I'm gonna have a real cool scar on the other side of this, so that's kind of cool. But then also Kimberly got like COVID, and she was super sick. Damn. And so she's actually been out of work for like 3 weeks. Oh so she's on the recovery and all this other stuff, but I missed it. But so Robert, how was the wrestling show?
I feel so bad for everybody who was there and put on a good show. I do have a new favorite wrestler, Non-Binary Nightmare, Max the Impaler. They are really cool.
The Impaler's a very cool name.
They are. They are a AFAB person that is just like, I'm trying to think. Imagine if
they're in NWA.
Yeah, they have like a Boudica gimmick, kind of like a. Not Viking, but
no, like a Gallic or like British, like British Isles,
like Germania,
type
thing. So they have that kind of gimmick
Celtic,
yeah. And they were in a voodoo coffin match, and they had to
voodoo coffin match.
Had to put the other girl in a coffin, and I like the way they looked for a big person. They moved really well. And I just like, wow, I'm going to check out more stuff from them. As a big person who does not move very well is new NWA champion Tyrus. That was the
formerly known
I've ever seen.
Formerly known as Brodus Clay. He now, like, basically his main gig is that he's like a Fox News guy. He's like a low tier Fox News guy.
Oh, absolutely.
Too.
But
he's like one of the scrubs that they drag up and like they have like a show on like Fox Nation or something.
That's the thing. He's on with like Greg Gutfield or whatever. And that's the thing is people are like, oh, they put the belt on him so they can take it to Fox News. I'm like, but nobody, it's the #1 rated late night show. But I'm like, who's watching TV?
Yeah,
for the last of the Mohicans that are watching cable TV, it's the #1 rated show at that time slot. And it's like, nobody's watching this.
Yeah.
Nobody cares. Like, you're not going to get one person who, he's not going to bring that belt on that show that's going to be like, I'm going to watch NWA Power on YouTube.
Yeah.
Nobody's doing that.
You want to, and even if you do expand to that audience, you're expanding to like basically the Fox News audience is so incredibly old that like, I don't know. I don't think those people are just going to like change their viewing habits just because Tyrus is like, one of their, mouthpiece goons is like they're not going to suddenly decide they like wrestling now or whatever. Right. You know what I mean?
The thing is, like, and I don't want to talk.
Like, the gambit is, like, we're trying to cash in on this, like, opportunity for publicity or whatever, right?
Here's what it boils down to. He's not, it's not just him being a Fox News guy. It's that he is and has been, at best, a mid-carder. The guy can bear, and I bless your heart.
The coolest thing about the Funkasaurus was the Funkadactyls.
Okay, so I have to back up just a bit and say, here's why I'm so like enraged about it.
He sucks.
He sucks, but here's the thing. Anybody who can get booked.
Like, he sucks at wrestling is what I'm trying to say.
That's what I'm trying to say. Anybody who can get booked to do professional to be in a professional wrestling show, God bless you. You didn't make unless you're Dusty Rhodes, you didn't make the booking decisions. So you got booked. They gave you a job, and they thought you were good enough to perform in front of people. God bless anybody. And that's why, like, I've been a fan of pro wrestling all my life, but I was smartened up really early, and I would never want to be like, oh, somebody's really bad, because pro wrestling is savage. Like, it's so hard on your body, and it's so brutal. So I have a hard time saying, like, man, that guy's really bad and shouldn't do a thing. Like, if people who are in the business think that you should do a thing, I guess you should. That's why same thing with, like, when Ric Flair was trying to wrestle, like when he had his life,
like 73
why
years
is he
old?
doing this? And I'm like, because they booked him.
Yeah.
Like, do it until nobody books you anymore.
Right.
Like,
so it's not even his fault.
No, not at all. But here's the deal: Tyrus can't work. He can't move. He can't talk. He has nothing. And on top of that, that's not the crime. On top of that, he is a Fox News guy. He is a Candace Owens type conservative person of color. And then also he is a sex pest. So
I didn't know that part.
Oh, yeah. He had a sexual harassment suit brought against him by one of the co-hosts on that Fox show. Then Fox settled it out of court.
Fox News has a long and illustrious history of having sex offenders on. Bill O'Reilly, famously, who is the number one guy for many, many years, got disappeared essentially because of his horrible sexual harassment, series of sexual harassment, credible claims. So
it was hilarious because
not out the dorm.
They put the belt on that guy. He won the match. Oh, and by the way, I forgot, I'm burying the lead. So everybody who's not terminally online and a professional wrestling weirdo like myself knows that Billy Corgan, yes, of the Smashing Pumpkins,
the one
Billy
and only
Corgan, who's also has horrible politics.
He's a libertarian,
right? Is the owner of that promotion. Mm-hmm. And so he is, I mean, it's cool to be like in the business, like what's called a money mark. Like, fine, like spend your money. Like, if I had money like Billy Corgan, I would have bought NWA too. Mm-hmm. But what I wouldn't be doing as Robert Johnson, who, however I got my money and not through booking professional wrestling shows, is making booking decisions. I would maybe have
a wrestling guy do that.
I would have some input. I would maybe say, hey guys, what do you think about this? But I would not be making my way or the highway booking decisions and putting belts on terrible guys who can hardly, not even in a wrestling ring, hardly walk to get to the ring. And that is insane to me. And it goes into, kind of to give it away, we're going to talk about people with money, obviously, who don't have any sense and think just because they surround themselves with yes men and they might have an expertise in like playing guitar or being, I don't know, or owning or getting money from your parents from an emerald mine. They think they are experts in all things.
Who could you be alluding to here, Robert?
We'll get to that. But so on top of all that, like I said, so the guy is not just a bad wrestler, he's also just a bad person. And it was hilarious because he tweeted out like all the professional wrestling, like, online publications, and we're just like, this is awful. I can't believe the same guy who, the guy who's holding this belt, he has the belt that Dusty Rhodes, Blue Demon Jr., Cody Rhodes,
all those guys,
Flair, they all held the belt, and now Tyrus has it. And he put out a tweet saying that, I don't listen to the woke mob. And I was like,
as you would expect from,
I was like, my guy, there were 300 people maybe in Chalmette, Louisiana, who saw this. They booed you, and ain't nobody woke in that crowd, my dude. And I'm like, wow. I'm just
my old stomping ground. That's where I'm from.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was a thing that happened, and it was awful, and it intersects things I like, things I love to hate, professional wrestling and politics. But yeah, what else is going on, Jeff?
Well, you alluded to some some rich guy who might be making some bad decisions. Who might that be? Who could you be talking about?
We're talking about the Musk man.
You talking about like the real life Tony Stark, right?
Absolutely not. He's never been that. He's never.
He's definitely like, if people believe that Elon Musk is like a Tony Stark person, like they actually genuinely believe it, and they're not just being like a simp for him or whatever. Like, if they don't like ride or die for him at the end of the day, and they just sort of like think, yeah, Elon Musk is the reason for that is because he literally lied about his like ability to do any of these things. Like, if a normal person who's just like not invested in this kind of stuff doesn't realize that Elon Musk is like a complete and utter charlatan. He would build like computers that he would like use for, I think it was one of his early things was like a navigation system or something like that. He would literally just build like a shell of a like advanced looking computer with just a regular computer inside of it and just run an app. Like, that's how he would do things.
Very much Thurno. I mean, what's her name? Who just got sentenced?
Elizabeth Holmes. We can get to her in a minute, too.
Yeah, she was doing the same thing. With
but her problem was she ripped off Henry Kissinger and Mad Dog Mattis and all these, like, powerful people as opposed to just, like, taking money from knuckleheads. But,
yeah, you alluded to that. I ranted a little bit while I was waiting for my caffeine to kick in off air, is that, how many times I've been told, how smart Elon Musk is, and I'm like, no, he's just a guy who throws money around.
He's a rich kid who just like basically frauded his way into like notoriety, and he was born wealthy.
He gets smarter people to just do the things. He's not. They people think like Elon Musk is in a workshop like soldering things, and
he's
like,
doing the engineering.
Yeah, like he's on AutoCAD and this is like crunching the numbers. Like, no, he absolutely is not. And he's not. He never was Tony Stark. He's always been just Bruce Wayne. If there was no Batman, just a jerk millionaire playboy. And like who creates situations that blow up in his face and goes, well, how could that have happened?
Hey, I survived. I basically put out the fire that I started, kind of, and there's much destruction. Hey, Patrick, we saved the city, like the SpongeBob thing, and the city's completely destroyed.
I mean, he got finessed into spending $1 billion to buy Twitter.
$44 billion.
$44 billion. Finesse.
And then he just decided, I have a conspiracy theory.
I would love to play poker against the guy.
I have a conspiracy theory about this, actually.
Holding up his pants.
So you want to hear this?
Yeah.
So here's what I think is happening. So Elon Musk has basically like alienated staff. There's been like thousands of resignations of people who are like core staff of Twitter. He's like running them off. He's basically doing these things like, oh, you have to like, he's essentially doing loyalty tests over and over again. And like it's less about whether somebody is like talented or good at their job. It's not a check for that. It's a check for loyalty. And what ended up happening is like 75% or so of the Twitter staff on Thursday, after Elon Musk does this like ultimatum of you're with me or you're against me sort of thing, like 75% or so of the staff, I'd have to check the actual numbers, like just said, deuces, we're out of here. And and there's like concern on a number of levels about the infrastructure of the website, about the security of the website. At one point, he like accidentally, because he like destroyed a lot of like third party apps, or he called it bloatware. He like knocked a bunch of those off and just basically killed off your ability to do two-factor authentication. And like that's a huge security risk for people who have who use like Twitter and stuff like that. And so much so to the point where it's becoming that the security level of Twitter is actually violating laws in countries that are not America. Like they have like beefier security laws in places like like Europe, Ireland, whatever. And the security that the level of security he's providing is basically like not sufficient to like to pass regulation muster in some of these places. Now, I'm not exactly sure if that's the case in America, but that's just like, that's really wild. And here's my conspiracy theory. My conspiracy theory is because Elon Musk gets federal funding for Tesla. He gets federal funding for SpaceX, his other project. All of his projects get federal money. He's trying to essentially do the thing where he runs Twitter so poorly that he has to get a government bailout. And the government is essentially going to like pay him to run Twitter because it's such a critical, it's like critical infrastructure or something like that. I could see that happening.
No, the thing that I think that doesn't pass the smell test with that is that, so what I've read is like the only people who are left at Twitter are the people who don't trust, the 25% of people who are left who don't trust him to even pay a severance.
Not going to pay a severance. And then two, there are people that are on immigration visas.
So we just haven't, can we talk about those immigration? Because that's just indentured servitude.
Yeah.
So that's the wildest.
So essentially, let's explain it. So there's people that are on specific like H-1 visas or something like that, where they are essentially required. We talked about this actually about agriculture and the people who essentially pick and distribute our food in this country with Elizabeth Strader a long time ago.
Good memory.
And essentially, in that sort of situation, like they were essentially forcing workers to pick and, clean food at essentially gunpoint or at the risk if you don't do this job or if you, get in the wrong position with your boss, they're gonna essentially like send your butt back to wherever you came from, Honduras, Mexico, Guatemala, whatever. And so like, the workers in this sort of situation, it's a different, it's not exactly the grueling kind of like out in the field,
but
like
it is,
literally
though.
picking
You're
food.
a code monkey.
No, I'm not.
You're
saying,
writing lines at like sitting there being.
I'm not saying it's not hard work. It is hard work. It's just
up on 10 times.
I'm saying it looks.
Stimulants.
I'm saying it looks a little bit different,
Yeah.
but they're absolutely still workers, and especially they're absolutely getting taken advantage of. It just feels a little bit different, but it's real. That's so real.
No, it's just I can't believe a system like that exists. It's
Essentially your boss, like you are in the country at the will of your boss. You're like an at-will employee, but you're also like an at-will citizen.
That's the wildest system. Like it's indentured servitude. It's borderline slavery. It's
and if it is borderline, it's very close to that
but
line.
This is what we always talk about, how we say intersectionality and how things intersect. This is how capitalism has to kick the can down the road to run. Yeah. There can never be a truly free market.
No.
You can't have a free market. You have to, somebody has to lose. Someone has to be exploited for this thing to keep rolling.
Yeah. In fact, that is the part. Like these people, especially, I mean, they don't have like a minimum wage in the same way like a worker who does have status has a minimum wage, right? Do they?
I don't know.
I have to check that out.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
I don't want to make claims that are not true, but if it feels like they can be definitely taken advantage of in different ways, though.
Yeah. So if they walk out on Twitter, then their visas are null and void, and they get deported.
Yeah.
That's what you. I mean, that's all you need to know.
Yeah.
So imagine. I don't know. Imagine a situation to where like you go work at a job, and if I get fired from said job, I can't live in the state anymore.
Yeah.
I'd have to move.
Yeah.
That's insane. Like you wanted me for this job. Like, okay, it didn't work out, but it's just employment. Like you thought I was good enough to come into this country. Well, then why can't I just get another job somewhere, And so these poor people, like I was kind of ranting about, they're hopped up on, 5 different types of stimulants, writing code all day. They're chewing on Adderall like it's candy. And they're just, and they're pretty much indentured servants. I mean, they are. I can't overstate that. It's just a disgusting way to run a society. And it really breaks my heart.
Yeah. Well, whose interest is it in? It's not the workers, that's for sure.
Not at all.
Real quick, we want to jump to this because there's only one solution to this problem, and it's to vote.
Oh, yeah.
Vote411.org. 102.3 reminds you the runoff election for Public Service Commissioners on Saturday, December 10th. Public Service Commission regulates utilities for residents such as power, phone lines, water, and gas. The commissioner fights for residents to have their fair prices for their utilities. Do you feel your rates have been fair? Find out the candidates and their public service records at vote411.org. That's vote411.org, and we'll see you at the polls on Saturday, December 10th. Another community service reminder from station dedicated to human rights and social justice, 102.3 WHIV. So have you actually seen there is going to be a runoff for Public Service Commission, which was kind of a surprise.
I haven't. Please tell me about it.
So there's a guy who has been sort of like the incumbent right now. A lot of his opponents are claiming that he. I was hosting actually a forum with the three candidates. Pastor Manning, who did not make the runoff, Devontae Lewis, who did make the runoff, and Lambert Boissier, who's the guy who is the incumbent, and like Pastor Manning was going like hard at this Boissier guy, saying that he was like a guy who's just taking all kinds of money from Entergy and regulating in their interest, which is just like that was his entire campaign strategy. Which, hey, you know, if it's true,
Right.
If it's true, it's true. But anyway, he was expected to sort of like walk into re-election. This guy, and then Devontae Lewis, kind of a movement guy. He's actually a DSA member now. He was recently endorsed by DSA Baton Rouge, and I think there's going to be like national volunteers coming in for that campaign from like 350, from like a lot of environmental groups to sort of. And also, by the way, Devontae has supported the DSA New Orleans debt strike against Entergy. Which is kind of wild. So it's going to be a really interesting race because, like, most people don't care about runoffs, but there's a lot on the line in this runoff.
So I thought he was familiar.
Devontae?
He was in 2016.
He's a young guy.
Yeah, in 2016, right? Let's see.
He's probably younger than me.
He was a delegate for Sanders, and he was the whip.
He was a Sanders guy? Mm-hmm. That's pretty wild, too.
Yeah, I met him in Philadelphia.
Yeah, he's in the runoff for Public Service Commissioner. This is like there was an article in the Washington Post about the Louisiana Public Service Commissioner.
Let's go.
Race. Like it's actually like going to be a significant deal. I know DSA New Orleans is going to have people out knocking doors. I would like to get Devontae to come on the show if we could. I think we have some connections, and if Boissier wants to come on too, I'll talk to him as well. But
what does the Public Service Commissioner do?
They essentially regulate utilities, like public utilities, like Entergy, like Cox, like water and stuff like that in the area. And it's a statewide office, and they're sort of like broken into regions. We talked about this with Jack actually a couple times, and he's sort of laid it out. If you go check our archives about a month ago, goodmorningcomrade.com, you can find that conversation. But yeah, it's actually a really, really interestingly powerful position because, like, if there is going to be a campaign to essentially bring privatized utilities under the purview of the public, that is a key position for doing that.
That's the thing I was going to say is, like, I have to read up on it myself because I wonder, because you might be able to answer this. If you can't, it's okay. But like, what is his position on
municipalizing
Entergy? Because there is a low rumble even from city council that, hey, this might be a direction that we need to go in.
Yeah,
and I feel like we just need, as the constituency, you just need to push them in that direction.
So I know that he has been in contact with people from like Bucket Brigade and things like that, and I think that he would be probably the most friendly candidate to that kind of a position of municipalizing Entergy. He doesn't take money from Entergy. I know that for sure. He's, like you say, he's a Sanders guy. He would be the most likely person to kind of like move towards that sort of municipalization situation. So, I mean, I would think that Devontae would be amenable to that. And again, like I said before, he supported the debt strike of DSA New Orleans, where we're trying to get 10,000 people to sign a petition that would essentially initiate them not paying their energy bills because of their crazy rate hikes and things like that. So it's been a lot of really awesome projects and organizing that have been happening within DSA New Orleans, pushing for that, and they've been partnering up with strategically with a lot of smart groups. And shout out to Baton Rouge for taking a stand on this, taking a position.
I mean, yeah, because
which is a emerging, growing, small chapter of DSA
absolutely.
New Orleans, of DSA.
We need to support them in any way possible because the Louisiana Democratic Party is the most useless. And
buddy, don't I know it?
And like a guy like Devontae would be a good addition to start to clean up the party because there's just so few people involved and engaged. And I understand like Baton Rouge is probably a more target-rich environment. Because here in New Orleans, it's so hard.
Can I just say this is not an endorsement of any candidate in this race?
Yes,
this is, yeah.
But as I say, here in New Orleans, it's so hard to get involved, as a leftist and even in local politics because the Democratic Party is all here, and they are very.
The morning after the election,
they're very comfortable to sit on their hands.
The morning after the morning after the election, I'm already getting emails from like chain emails sent to like all the people that are on the executive committee and the state committee and all this other stuff. I end up on this list, and they're just basically saying, "Oh, we have to, we had a red wave, but it was only in Louisiana or whatever." And it's just like they're like trying to blame the current leadership of the Louisiana Democratic Party, which sucks.
Yeah.
But like the people that are going to who are vying for that position also are terrible. So it's just like. I don't know. It just seems like a completely dead option.
No,
just
absolutely.
Not worth
I just think of
pursuing.
the Louisiana Democratic Party when Gary Chambers had his best chance for best bite at the apple. We decided to back. I say we like I'm not.
The Louisiana Democrat.
Decided to back Karen Carter Peterson for some reason.
Or even Karen was the chair of the Democratic Party at the time.
What? I mean,
so she's got clout.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it boils down. I mean, you're right, but that's what it's not even. It's the same thing.
Well, she doesn't have clout anymore.
I mean, we saw this on a national.
She's about to go to jail.
Yeah, you saw this on a federal level with the Hillary Clinton campaign. Like, oh, it's their time. No, like you can't win.
Yeah,
like we might as well put somebody in who's going to shake up the race. And like has a fighting chance to at least go out on their shield.
Oh, you didn't even see what happened with the Louisiana Democrats and how they did with the endorsement for Senate. Did you?
Nope.
Oh boy.
I just stayed out of Louisiana politics.
So,
I was giving money to Fetterman and Warnock.
Well, he won.
Yeah, I know.
But Gary Chambers, like we said before, was essentially got the support of the executive committee. And was about to get endorsed by the Louisiana Democratic Party, like straight up for Senate in this multi-way race between him, Steve, and Mixon. And essentially, there were some like rule changes all of a sudden that made it a multi-way endorsement again.
Why?
And
why?
I don't even like Gary that much, but like it's just like if you're gonna be like arranging these sorts of rules that they initiated, that they've decided to bring in, that they decided to change the rules to make it this particular way where, the executive committee can do it and you take the L, then you just change the rules and just just to mess this one guy over. That's
it's just they're fighting. They're sitting over there.
They're fighting over scraps.
They're fighting over the scraps to be the first person to get punched in the face.
Mm-hmm. But there's money in it, though.
Yeah, I guess so.
There are people, that'll, if you send out mailers or whatever, and people get paid off of that. It's more. They basically decided that there's no victories unless like the only kind of candidates in this state that could ever possibly win are like a John Bel, which is patently not true. I mean, like he definitely was able to win because he is actually a pretty smart organizer in terms of like how he it was not because he's anti-abortion. That's not why he got elected governor. It's part of the recipe, I suppose. But he built a political machine that could reach statewide is why he won, not because of his like the horrible reactionary position on abortion or his close ties to the oil and gas lobby. You know what I mean? I mean, that didn't hurt him in terms of like raising money, but it's just like if people have just decided that these are the only things that can win, and what ends up
it's
getting
not even that they've decided, in my opinion, it's not even that they've decided that these are the only things that can win. They said this is the only way that we want to win.
Yeah.
We don't want to open the we don't want to, and I mean this in the most not subjective, objective way possible. Mm-hmm. We don't want to open up a Pandora's box like the Republican Party did with Trump. Yeah. And then
we want to keep control of our party.
Exactly. We want to keep it out of the electorate's hands.
Yeah.
Because if we let people actually vote for who they want and the policies that they want, then we'll lose control of the party.
And then you're going to take L's just forever. Right. But you'd rather take L's forever than like lose their little grip on their little piece of turf.
Absolutely.
It's really pathetic. And you know what? They're going to lose forever if they do that.
And you see both parties are doing that. But the Republican and the Democratic Party.
The difference is that
the
difference is the Republicans can't stop it. That's the only difference.
I guess
they have a free. I mean, just to kind of like pivot towards national elections and all this other stuff. The red wave that people were saying that they were expected wasn't going to happen. Was going to happen for the most part. Didn't happen. However, the Republicans were able to like take the House of Representatives, right? So that essentially means that this little tiny fraction of like completely insane Republicans are essentially going to have the ability to shut whatever they want down whenever they want, because it's going to be such a narrow vote, and the establishment Republicans are going to need that support to pass all their horrible reactionary measures to like, you know, I mean, obviously they're going to be doing they're going to investigate like Hunter Biden's laptop, and like they're going to like investigate the pullout from the pullout from Afghanistan and all these other things. They're just going to manufacture crisis after crisis after crisis.
Well, that's kind of the thing, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Because if I'm going to put my tinfoil hat on, I'm sure in smoke-filled rooms with closed doors, the Democratic Party was like, "We didn't take the House, thank God."
Yeah, we don't have to do anything now.
Then we'd be responsible.
Yeah,
we'd actually would have to govern, but we get to just point our fingers and go, "Well, we can't do anything."
And oh man, you know what? AOC now, I guess we'll never ever have Medicare for all, or whatever.
Yeah,
we can't even bring it up now because we lost the House. Too bad. So
getting feedback.
Yeah, I don't know where that's coming from.
You? It doesn't matter as long as it's not
getting
coming
it too
on air. Is it my phone? No.
I don't know what it is.
Technical difficulties. Beep, beep, beep. My mic is now dead. I can't hear myself. Well, it's not dead. It's just the playback.
Yeah.
Well,
anyway.
Anywho, whatever. But yeah, the Democratic Party in Louisiana needs a complete overhaul. But I don't know if.
Don't hold your breath.
Yeah, I don't think they care enough about winning elections. They just absolutely don't, and that's. Our hope is for Big John. Big John Fetterman, please save us.
Man, I did watch those. I did watch some of those debates that he was in. Yeah. Oh, that one debate where he was in with Dr. Oz. It was a little bit cringy. It was cringy because the guy, like, he literally had a stroke 2 months ago. And, like, he's essentially expected to like go out there and exchange like in a debate stage, which debates are ridiculous anyway. But like, you're essentially rolling this guy out there who's recovering from a stroke, which, by the way, a lot of senators get strokes all the time. Right. That are, you can't tell me that like John Fetterman can't be a senator, but Dianne Feinstein can, right? But anyway, and again, I'm so annoyed about this too, because Democrats are going to focus on like probably the most flashy but like least substantive part of the Fetterman campaign, which was he was basically like he posted his way essentially through the entire thing, which was funny and it worked for him, but also the entire strategy of like that kind of a campaign. When he ran for lieutenant governor, for example, he decided that he was going to touch every county in the state of Pennsylvania, which is awesome. It's like the 50-state strategy of Howard Dean, which, look, Howard Dean's bad in a lot of ways. The 50-state strategy was a good idea. At least he contested in states even where they wasn't going to win or whatever to essentially make inroads in those places, right? He wasn't able to do it this time, but essentially he was on the ground in every county, and he even the counties that he lost, he did not lose them by as much as he would have otherwise. And so what ended up happening is, I mean, that's the part of the strategy that is going to be ignored, and the part that is going to be on every campaign. Every Democrat's campaign now is going to just be like, try and make the other guy, whoever it is, like a crudité guy. You know, it's going to be like you're going to have Tim Ryan or whatever, some like loser Democrat trying to like post their way to victory instead of that. That's what's going to happen. That's the lesson that's going to take away, and it's going to be so painful and so cringe. And that's what 2024 is going to be like.
I'm scared, to be honest, because I feel like it's the Sun Tzu strategy of always give your opponent an avenue of escape, because you never want to push them in a death ground against the sea. I feel like the Republican Party's going to feel like they're pushed against the sea, and they're going to try to cram through. They're going to try to get whatever they can get done, because they know demographically and they know electorally they're cooked. They're done. I mean, it's just a matter of time. So it's just like, how much can we loot on the way out? You know, how much as a conservative, how much can we try to conserve? Which is ridiculous, because it's a dead on arrival philosophy, because it's baked into the very name of your movement, conservative. Like, you can't conserve. Time is going to march forward. You know, you can't lock in history. And the history that you're idolizing was nowhere near as good as the dream that you're trying to sell to people. Yeah, I'm really concerned about, even though we've kind of held the line. People, this isn't like a thing of victory. This is more like we held Helm's Deep, and Helm's Deep is destroyed. And we woke up and we pushed the orcs back. And now we've just got to try to like regroup. This isn't like a huge victory party, but I'm glad that everybody did. I'm glad that the Zoomers came out, those that did, and voted. And I'm just, to be sober, I'm just really kind of concerned in the next 4 years.
Oh, it's going to be bad because, like, again, the Democrats are not going to do anything cool.
Nope.
Which they desperately need if they're going to win anything and keep those young people like excited or whatever. Like Biden kind of got lucky in the sense that the Democrats kind of got lucky in the sense that, and lucky is just like an awful way to put this, honestly. But like in terms of their electoral fortunes, it turned out to be in their favor. The Dobbs decision, which overturned Roe, essentially, where it allowed states to essentially just ban abortion, that was useful for Democrats because they essentially turned people out to go vote, because they're fighting for their like lives in a lot of ways, their bodies and their ability to not be forced to have children, or even have a miscarriage and not be prosecuted for that. Like, that's just so insane that's even like something that's being litigated in this way. So that got people out. And then also Biden was, and this is going to be turned over, or it already has been turned over, but he definitely did make some good decisions in terms of like trying to forgive student loan debt, but it ended up getting turned over by a court. So that's going to be stopped anyway. So, like, even when the Democrats try to do something cool, you never get it.
Right.
So, like, that's going to be it was a dub for, like, this past election for the Democrats, but it's going to be a huge L when people don't get what they were promised.
What do you think about everybody's like giddy over this Republican Civil War that's gonna like tear the
It happens
party apart?
every election.
But I'm very like I don't know. I don't feel
It happens
I feel
every
like
election. It happens every election. It's going to be fine. They're like Trump is going to steamroll DeSantis because
You think so?
yes, because Trump is the real thing and DeSantis is a faker.
I agree with you. Like Trump is when you say the real thing. I know what you're saying. Like I think
He's the raw, uncut heroin.
DeSantis is like a real fascist, and Trump is like a dumb fascist.
Yeah, but he's got he actually is popular and people actually like him. By what I mean by Trump is that he's actually got he's got FU appeal to regular people.
I get that.
And DeSantis is just such a phony.
But again, so you think that it's past they've crossed the Rubicon, like they can't take the party back from their constituency.
No, absolutely not. The fire is raging and they cannot put it out fast enough. So they're breaking down. They cannot, and they won't actually. So what the Democrats will do, by the way, and this is a huge difference, is the Democrats will literally just like slice their own wrists and like throw themselves onto the pyre to stop the internal fire within their party. Any kind of populism. You saw what they did to Bernie.
Yeah,
they called him a racist. They called him all these things, and a sexist. Like Elizabeth Warren, literally, like Snake called him a sexist. Remember that? They will literally throw every possible thing to destroy populism within their party. If Republicans have just decided that populism is their way to power, they'll be like, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
Bet. You know?
Yeah, because you see, I mean, I see what you're saying because I watch a lot of like talking heads, and from Fox News, and they're like, they're trying to play the middle. They're trying to see where it's gonna, where it's gonna.
They support they support DeSantis because that's in their interest.
But they
refuse
to talk about. They refuse to talk bad about Trump
because they're scared.
Yeah,
they don't want the person that they essentially like watching at home with their red hat on. They don't want them to turn on them. They don't want them to. They don't want to. They need their constituency, but they're trying to walk that line. They're trying to dictate what is probably the smartest future for them, but like that is not like, come on, dude. Like if you get DeSantis, do you think anybody is gonna go and like, oh man, I'm really gonna stick it to whoever because I'm voting for DeSantis? No, he's a nerd. He's a loser.
No. I disagree with you here because all he does is
like, I hate immigrants, so I'm going to vote for DeSantis.
Yeah.
It's like but it's fake.
But they
it's
will.
Not real.
But
why would they vote? Why would they vote for him over Trump?
Because
if you hate immigrants, why would you pick the smart guy who's a nerd about it, or why would you not pick the guy that his hate is pure?
Because Trump's already had 4 years of presidency. His stuff got a lot of his dumb things most of it got shut down. People haven't seen like a change in their material conditions, and I'm not saying DeSantis would bring them that. He wouldn't, but they're like, oh, we already did this. Why don't I go with this other guy who's easier to like?
No, because Trump is their favorite TV character. Mm-hmm. That's why. It's not about what people have decided that their material conditions cannot be changed for the better in any meaningful way. Things can only get worse. Right? Things aren't ever going to get better. People are thinking maybe they can actually get better. I think that they could. I think a better world is possible. But essentially, like the reason people don't vote, or they mostly FU vote for like Republicans and racists and all these other people, is because it makes them feel good about what they're doing because they're going to like, YOLO, I'm being epic. Like, why would I, why would I try and be responsible?
My thing
here?
is, I think
responsibility is,
and for people who have power in the Democratic Party, they need to completely stay out of this because they tried that with Trump. They tried to like.
They won't do that.
Trump,
they won't
but they're
going
to back somebody, aren't they? They're gonna
try and back DeSantis probably this time because they think that would be what like.
I think he's so much worse than Trump. I think he's so much worse.
Yeah, but the thing is that it's not gonna matter because Trump's still gonna win.
The where I disagree with you is DeSantis throws so much meat. He's the current king of the culture war.
Yeah.
So we're like
for like 5 minutes.
But like Trump is not that. Trump is not the king of the culture war. And like DeSantis is the one that will actively say like, I hate gay people, I hate black people, you are like these teachers are grooming kids. Like,
all right.
Trump won't say that.
All right. Here's my last point on this, and this is going to be like, we have 5 minutes left, but this is my last point of DeSantis, and then I got to read some copy. Here's why he's not going to win. You ready?
Okay.
He's 5'7", and he talks like a nerd. Like, he literally does talk like a weenie with a nasally voice. He's no chance. Nope. That's it. Get out of here. L. Wow. Take your L. Walk away. I don't know, man. It's over. I got to talk about the blood drive.
I mean, I hope you're right.
I mean, I don't...
Because DeSantis is terrifying.
I mean, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, because Trump is also going to be a nightmare.
But he's so dumb. He's so dumb.
I mean, but he inflames...
And DeSantis is not dumb.
The thing about Trump is he just inflames the worst people in the world and just empowers them. Remember when they had Unite the Right? And
that would have still
Spencer.
happened. If DeSantis was president, that would still happen.
Maybe. So. Maybe, all right. Maybe so.
Free to go.
Anyway, join us Saturday, December 10th for the 102.3 Blood Drive. Bloodmobile will be outside our studios at 2762 Orleans Avenue from noon to 4 p.m. Come by and meet some of our favorite WHIV show hosts. Please contact thebloodcenter.org with any questions or call 800-86-BLOOD. We'll see you on Saturday, December 10th here at WHIV-FM, 2762 Orleans, the station dedicated to human rights and social justice, 102.3 FM. So, I guess just sort of like as we're winding down, what are you sort of looking for the next week?
My goodness. Thanksgiving stuff.
Yeah, what are you thankful for, Robert?
I'm thankful that I'm going to have the day off. Oh, real quick, before we get, I'm going to kill your, Charlie Brown Happy Thanksgiving vibe. Mm-hmm. But did you know the city of New Orleans for city workers, because marijuana's decriminalized in the city, they're no longer testing for marijuana. To get a city job. Yeah.
Let's go.
There's actually, there was a good write-up about it, and I want to say NOLA.com, where I can't remember if it was the city attorney or what. But I do remember this quote, and it made complete sense. It's like, look, we expect people not to show up to their jobs drunk. So we also expect them not to
come high either.
High.
Yeah. That's
I was
normal.
like, that's common sense.
Yeah. That makes perfect sense.
And the same people, and the people who are going to be, jerks and show up intoxicated are going to do it drunk anyway. So yep. But I just thought that was really cool. There's something really cool about the city. Honestly, it's a way to save money, because how much money are we wasting on pre-employment drug testing? It's so stupid.
Drug testing is just like, I'm stealing this from Street Fight, but like they said this a long time ago. It's just a way for capitalists to collect your pee. Yeah. That's all it is.
That's funny.
I mean, and they find a way to make money. How is there an industry of just checking people's pee? So that's wild to me.
And it's so wild because a guy could be shooting up fentanyl between his toes in the bathroom every 20 minutes.
They don't test for that.
The half-life on that's 24 hours, But a guy just wants to play some Madden and smoke a J.
Yeah.
That's 30 days, and you're fat and oh boy.
Yeah.
That's the baddie. No. So good on you, city of New Orleans. Way to go.
Shouts out to New Orleans. I do have one last announcement to make as we go out. I just took a new job.
That's so awesome, dude.
So I'm not going to be a teacher any longer. Yesterday was my last day, and I'm now going to be working for an international union as a digital organizer. Part of that is going to be the fact that so the show's going to keep going. We're going to try and figure this out. But I'm going to be moving to Richmond, Virginia, which is where I'm going to be based. As a staff organizer for you, maybe organizing workers. So that's kind of awesome too. And hopefully I can bring some of that perspective, if not some of the, not some of the specifics, but that perspective for sure, will be brought to this show, talk about organizing workers more going forward. So I'm pretty pumped about that, but we have a lot of stuff to do. I ordered a new laptop yesterday too, which is, kind of exciting.
That's the most important news.
Yeah.
And I just want to leave everybody with, Bill Gates ruined public schooling.
Yeah.
Elon Musk ruined your favorite bird app. Stop listening to these rich people who have no expertise and are surrounded by yes men and think they know how to run everything, because they don't. Also,
Teslas catch on fire all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, folks. Thank you so much for listening. This has been Good Morning Comrade, 102.3 WHIV LP New Orleans. We love you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
That was implemented